Hey guys, what's going on? Laying back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about Like the Falling Petals. Like the Falling Petals is a Japanese romantic drama that tells the story of two characters who meet and fall in love. The first being Haruto, a Sakura, an aspiring photographer working from one dead-end job to the next, and Ariaki Misaki, a hairdresser who works at the salon that Sakura goes to. After Sakura works up the courage to ask Misaki on a date, the two engage in a whirlwind romance before it abruptly ends, after Misaki finds out that she's rapidly aging and thus wants Sakura to remember her at her best. Sakura struggles to reconcile with this twist of fate as he tries to hold on to what the two had together. I feel like I've said this in the past, but I've yet to be disappointed by any Japanese film that I've seen released on Netflix to date, and this movie continues the trend of great quality dramas to be released from the country. Although there are some problems with its narrative, the struggles of its main characters make it worth watching. Sakura is a sympathetic character from the beginning due to his lack of self-confidence. He's obsessed with photography and wants to pursue his passion, but was mocked for his novice skills, and he doesn't want to make a fool of himself. This is a relatable feeling that can be attached to many hobbies and interests, which helps the audience to identify with him. I like how he's motivated to better himself once he spends more time with Misaki, and the movie does a good job of showing him progress back into photography, but at the same time it feels like there's some key details missing. I wouldn't say that the journey toward what style of imagery he chooses for his art feels rushed, but there's something about it that feels incomplete, like there's some sort of context that was left out. He also goes back to working at the same bad studio he quit from previously, when it would have been better for him to have a fresh start somewhere else, instead of having a hard time all over again. Nevertheless, it is nice to see him have goals outside of the romance. He serves as the narrator of this movie's events, so we get a chance to see what goes on in his head concerning his work and relationship. This helped me relate to him on a deeper level, and I enjoyed seeing him rediscover his self-worth. The female lead Ariaki Misaki was another great character as well. She starts at the opposite end of the spectrum as Sakura does, in that she's happy and has a deep-seated motivation to do well in her job as a hairdresser, but once she begins to age, she falls into a downward spiral of depression. The nature of her illness is something that I have to give major props to this movie for. I was worried that there was going to be some sort of fantastical abstract reason for her aging, but it ended up being rooted in science. There were a few liberties taken with it, but it was very much believable in how it happened. The audience gets to see in great detail the toll that Misaki's illness takes on her as well, and it's heartbreaking to see her go through the pain she experiences on top of the pain she deals with in isolating herself and trying to protect Sakura's memory of her, even if her decision to do so is understandable. The filmmakers could have done a bit better with this aspect in some areas. As Misaki ages, the camera tends to blur out her face to create some sort of mystery as to how she looks, but the technique is never used consistently. There are times where she's revealed on camera even in the presence of others, so while it is interesting at first, it ends up being a distraction in the long run. This being said, the emotional resonance of the plot is nailed to a T, which leads me to talk about the relationship itself. Sakura and Misaki's love story is tragic in how short and sweet it is. The two are adorable as they go on several dates and do a variety of things together while helping to bring out the best in each other. There is somewhat of a disconnect in how fast the relationship moves, but this does make sense due to the progression of Misaki's illness. More is revealed regarding both characters' backstories as well, and they make good use of the little time they do have together. The two continue to have a relationship of sorts even after being separated from each other, and this is where the movie is at its best. Misaki's absence continues to have a profound effect on Sakura, as he reignites his passion for photography while trying to reach out to her in any way possible. Meanwhile, Misaki doesn't tell Sakura what's happening to her due to the shame she feels from growing older at a young age and for the sake of preserving her memory, and becomes discouraged as she tries one medical experiment after another to become healthy again to no avail. Their whole dynamic revolves around fighting for one's passion in both love and work. Sakura is encouraged to become a photographer again and wants to be with Misaki, while Misaki tries to protect Sakura in her own way while attempting to hold on to her youth and beauty, which was what brought her into a career in hairstyling in the first place. There is a ton of thematic subtext that's present in this movie, a lot more than I expected there to be. Both of them persevere in order to get what they want, and things don't always turn out how they want. I wanted to see both of the two happy together, and although the inevitable nature of Misaki's illness affects this, they're still able to impact each other's lives in a meaningful way. Another thematic example is the role that seasons play in representing the passage of Misaki's illness. It starts off in the spring when everything is new between the two, before moving into the summer at the height of their love, just as Misaki is discovering her illness. The tone becomes a lot more depressing as it moves into fall, as Misaki has shut herself away from both Asakura and the world at large, before it reaches devastating levels of sadness in winter, as Misaki's age has all but debilitated her and Asakura has seemingly moved on with his life. I don't want to say much more about this part so as to avoid spoiling the story, but I was consistently impressed with how age paralleled the cycle of seasons, as well as in Asakura's photos and how blurry they appeared to be. It shows how beauty doesn't last forever, but love will last a lifetime. Having been to Japan myself in the past, it was a treat to be able to see the country in spring again. It's a very beautiful film to watch, with cherry blossom petals floating across the screen that connect well with Misaki's struggles. The movie even makes creative use of editing transitions to show the passage of seasons and the effect that time has on Misaki. At times, however, the amount of visual flair featured on screen can be a bit much, especially in the beginning. Some colors appear either too bright or too washed out due to this weird feathering effect that overemphasizes certain objects that appear on camera. It's not common enough that it becomes a huge deal, but there were a few moments that gave me eye strain. I do wish that the supporting characters were a bit more memorable as well. Asakura's fellow photographers are unreasonably cruel toward him to an almost absurd degree. There's one woman from the group that he spends time with in one or two scenes, and I'm still not sure what role she was supposed to play. However, I will say that Misaki's brother Takashi was great. I actually wasn't that big of a fan of his at first, as he was unusually cruel toward Asakura too, but he redeemed himself over the course of the story as he dedicates himself to caring for his younger sister and even reevaluating his own attitude toward Asakura later on. The insecurity that comes with aging is something that I think many people can relate to, and using this concept to accelerate the love that two characters experience was an excellent idea. It shows that people don't necessarily have to be together to love each other, and it tells a great message about how our lives, whether past or present, will always be outlasted by true love. Overall, Love Like the Falling Petals is an impressive romantic drama that explores the perception of love in a unique way, encouraging others to live in the moment and be passionate about all pursuits in life. If you like romantic dramas and you're looking for one that's a bit outside of the box and is equal parts somber and empowering, I definitely think you should check this one out. The timing of this movie's release is impeccable, if I do say so myself, with the season of spring already underway. Although its technical presentation and some parts of its story are a bit iffy, it remains a compelling cinematic experience, and one that reminds us to cherish our loved ones as long as we're still around. What did you think about this movie? Were you completely absorbed by the tragic love story between Asakura and Misaki, or were there some parts about it that you took issue with? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of Love Like the Falling Petals. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the Spanish drama, All Hail. Bye bye!